When it comes to like spanking children, which is a very big debate, my parents spanked me and everything. I mean, we love our parents, you know. I mean, a lot of people say sometimes spanking is good, sometimes spanking is not good. Sometimes people say it can be healthy and effective, and sometimes it's not. What are your thoughts on that?
All right, in my perspective, right? Everything, there's always a limit to certain things.
Right.
If you're raising children and you're raising them correctly, you probably only have to spank them once.
Right.
And I'm talking when they're little, you tap them on the butt and says, don't do that again.
Yeah.
Right? But if you're going to let them get away with it when they're little and then they become teenagers and you're trying to spank them, now it's going to be even more anger that's been building up that now you're taking out frustration on the child. Right?
I see.
So again, I think, yes, there is abuse because sometimes people don't know how to control their anger, right?
Right.
And it becomes action. And action, sometimes it's not just about the incident that's happening. Now, remember, with emotional intelligence is about being aware, you know, to be angry at the right time, at the right person, for the right reason, right? Sometimes we're angry, not at the right time and not at the right person, and we're taking that frustration out on the child. It could have been something that happened, you know, several days ago that we've been holding on up here, and the child did one thing and it just like explode, and you're taking it all out on the child.
Right.
So there is abuse, right? But I think when they're little, if you're correcting them, you know, to the point by the time they reach 10 years old, because child psychology said, right, from birth till 10, you know, their personalities form, you know, and they should know right from wrong. You know, and I see people don't correct their kids, you know, 5, 6-year-old, and they go, oh, it's cute. It's not cute. Because it's not going to be cute when they do it when they get older, because now you're going to want to punish them.
And they reinforce that behavior.
And you reinforce the behavior.
Say it's cute and they
Absolutely.
laugh.
Absolutely.
No, that's a very good point, because I think a lot of times, I do think sometimes parents spank out of anger and frustration. Because, I mean, as teachers, we know teaching can be very exhausting. We know teaching can be very difficult. And I think a lot of people may not have the patience to teach like professionals do, and their direct reaction is spank and let them learn. Let the pain teach them. And it's like, well, there's a difference between frustration and anger and hitting, because that becomes abuse, because intention does play a factor. But when you're doing it for disciplinary reasons, it might not be like, I'm angry at you, I'm not angry at you, but maybe I want you to be more mindful in being able to control yourself. And if you can't do that, and my words aren't getting through to you, maybe a smack on the butt will teach you. You know, because I do remember, I mean, I love my parents, they're wonderful parents, and I do remember one time I was being a complete, you know, trouble child, okay? And my parents tell me all the time, hey, don't do this, don't do that. And I was just a little kid. And I understood what they were saying. I think that's a big fallacy that a lot of people don't understand. They think kids don't understand.
Oh, they do.
They do. You know, they might not understand extremely complicated things, but they understand basic things. Don't do this, don't do that, right? But when you know you can kind of get away with it, kids also have that tendency to stretch. What can I get away with?
They're great psychologists.
Yeah. And then parents sometimes tells you, here's your limit. And in order for you to understand your limit and believe them, you know, it does take a bit of spanking, because then you realize, wow, I really made mom and dad mad. And as you get older, I look back and I'm like, you know what? I probably did
earn it. Yeah. But and that's like I said, that's the point. Yes, you can spank a child, but you know, spank them for something they did right then and there. Not let something build to the point of frustration, and then you're so angry you can't see. And you're abusing the child. And I think that's where a lot of people fall when it comes to abuse of children, that frustration and that anger for their life, anger about something happened at work, it just comes out.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, particularly like a lot of immigrants, their parents are pretty old school. So there's a lot of spanking that goes on. And I think when you look at a lot of these immigrants, they have strong family values. They take care of their parents. They respect their parents. And a lot of people say, oh, well, you know, how can we get our kids to respect us and treat us and care about us in the same way as maybe those kids treat their parents? And it's not necessarily spanking, but it's more or less the education that comes with that spanking.
That's right.
We understood that our parents loved us, and when they spanked us, it was not abusive. When they spanked us, it was because we deserved it. We had to learn our lesson, and we respected that.
Yep.
It wasn't. I think a lot of people get the wrong idea when it comes to spanking as you make your kids fearful.
No.
Well, you don't make your kids fearful of you. Like, I never feared my parents.
Me either.
Yeah, I was never afraid of my mom or dad.
And I was spanked.
Yeah, so. I understood that when they spanked me, it was because I had to learn a lesson, and words were not doing the trick.
But hear what it did too. It made us mindful.
Yes, exactly.
It made us mindful. So if I'm going to do something, I become present at that moment. And goes, well, if I do this, my mom is probably going to hit me.
Yes.
This is wrong, and I won't do it.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. So it made us mindful. So it was, to me, it was never negative.
It brought us right to that present moment.
Right to that present moment.
Yeah. And I love that you mentioned that, because I never grew up thinking that my parents were abusive or my parents didn't love me. I saw how much they loved me. And I think there is a healthy way of disciplining with spanking. Yeah. And I think a lot of people get the wrong idea of spanking.
I think so. Yeah. And like I say, when we look at spanking, people are spanking with frustration.
Yes.
Right? It's not so much to correct a behavior. It's more out of anger and frustration. Mm-hmm. Like I said, when they're little and you tap them on the butt and says, don't do that, you start them understanding, that behavior is unacceptable, right? And you can't wait till they get older to say, don't do that, when they've been doing it all.